What's up, everyone? It's Scotty with MoneyVest. So markets here basically pulling back just a little bit. And we did have the ADP non-farm payrolls report. We had some comments from Jamie Dimon. We had some Meta and Microsoft news coming out with respect to advanced micro devices and Nvidia. And I'm also going to break down, of course, the technicals for the market. And the next couple of days are actually going to be very, very important for the markets because tomorrow we've got the initial jobless claims, we've got the Fed's balance sheet, stuff that comes out every Thursday, but Friday is when we have the unemployment report, and that's coming out on the first Friday of the month. As always, if you enjoy this video, find it helpful, make sure that you drop a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're just joining us for the first time. And the link to our Discord and Patreon is going to be down below. We'd love to have you on board, and again, access to all of our fundamental spreadsheets, intrinsic values. You can access all the Discord channels, find out exactly what I'm buying and selling. Trust me, we've been crushing it this year. This year's been one of our record years. And of course, you can unlock all the members-only private videos as well. So link's going to be down below. Also, do check out the courses, Fundamental Technical Analysis and Options course, and the Psychology course. Everything's available, lifetime access with over 130 plus videos and lectures and over 30 plus hours of content. Link's going to be down below, and definitely do connect with me on Instagram as well. My username or my handle is going to be CASWRP. I do post a lot of interesting stories and polls and strategies and videos over there as well. So definitely do check that out as well. So ADP non-farm payroll is coming in at 103,000 jobs added in the month of November, and that was slightly lower than the consensus of 123,000. This right here was another piece from economist Carl Weinberg, who says U.S. consumers will soon wake up to out-of-control interest on their credit cards. And consumer spending is being financed by credit cards where interest rates are over the top, out of control, and off the hook right now. And Weinberg says retrenchment is spending in the new year as debt burdens rise, though probably not enough to push the U.S. economy into a recession. Monica Defend, head of Amundi Investment Institute, she said she sees a coming pullback in consumer spending as sufficient to trigger a recession in the first half of 2024 as well. And as we have already talked about, the credit card debt is obviously at a record high, not to mention interest rates on that credit card debt is also extremely high at the moment. So what we are witnessing obviously is high levels of both credit card debt and interest rates, but delinquencies continue to be really, really low. And the reason for that is because the jobs market, the labor market is extremely tight. People still have jobs, people still have good paying jobs, and as a result, they're able to finance whatever purchases they're making, whether it's the auto loan, mortgages, credit cards. They're still able to finance a lot of that debt. But as we know, it's starting to catch up because credit card debt otherwise would not be going up. It would have been either flat or going down if people were actually paying off that credit card debt. But since it's going higher, well, they're prioritizing other types of debt and they're not really paying off their credit cards. Jamie Dimon had some very, very bold comments today. He says, and he lashes out against crypto, he says, quote, "If I was the government, I'd close it down." That is a very, very bold statement. If you take a look at how crypto is reacting, not really, quite unhinged, a little bit under 44,000. Ether's also just a little bit over 2,200. So overall, we're not really seeing a lot of momentum on the downside. And he also says that I've, quote, "and I've always been deeply opposed to crypto, Bitcoin, etc. The only true use case for it is criminals, drug traffickers, money laundering, tax avoidance. If I was the government, I'd close it down." So again, a very, very bold comment coming from the largest bank, JP Morgan Chase CEO, Jamie Dimon. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. And again, there's some level of, obviously we have to understand and take it with a grain of salt that crypto and Bitcoin does threaten the primacy of the US dollar, right? And US dollar is basically the only product that JP Morgan sells, right? If any bank, it's out there, the main product is money. The main product is dollars, right? And Bitcoin and crypto just directly, threatens the dominance of the US dollar. So it kind of makes sense why Jamie Dimon would be saying this. But at the same time, it's quite interesting. So let me know in the comments section below, what do you think? This right here, very, very big catalyst. Meta and Microsoft say they will buy AMD's new AI chip as an alternative to Nvidia's. This is a huge catalyst, folks, because we've been talking about advanced micro devices and how it is actually going to make life difficult for Nvidia for quite some time, because AMD is not going to back down. Lisa Su is not going to back down from this war, from this battle for artificial intelligence. We know what she's capable of. We know how she's been able to turn the company around. And as a result, Nvidia, watch out. I actually did a video a couple months ago. I did a video how Nvidia needs to watch out because AMD is going to come for this market. And Meta, OpenAI, Microsoft said that they will use AMD's newest AI chip, which is supposed to release in 2024, the Instinct MI300X, a sign that tech companies want alternatives to the expensive Nvidia graphics processors that have been essential for artificial intelligence. And if the MI300X is good enough and inexpensive enough, when it starts shipping early next year, it could lower cost for developing AI models. AMD CEO Lisa Su projected the market for AI chips will be amount to $400 billion or more in 2027. And she said she hopes AMD has a sizable part of that market. I'm building a position in advanced micro devices. I think it's got a lot of potential untapped opportunity considering how Nvidia's rallied so much and AMD hasn't even gotten started. And all of the interest is in big iron and big GPUs for the cloud. AMD CEO Lisa Su said on Wednesday. And again, the latest high-end chip is good enough for technology companies and cloud service providers building and serving AI models. When it starts shipping early next year, it could lower the cost for developing AI models for them and also put competitive pressure on Nvidia's surging AI chip sales growth as well. Crude oil prices, we talked about a very important support at $70, dropping below $70 a barrel and closing at its lowest level since June. That actually does help inflation very, very much. So if you come over to how crude oil prices are doing, this right here is the big breakdown sub $70, and we talked about this support in our previous videos and market updates. So we're starting to see a little bit of a breakdown below this level. Next support is going to be at $65 per barrel, $66 per barrel for crude. And of course, we're seeing a very nice consistent lower highs at the moment for crude oil as well. This right here is how the markets perform. So once again, a little bit of rotation out of tech, out of large cap, over to some other parts of the market, especially utilities, restaurants, industrials. Those are the sectors that are doing actually really well. And we do have other parts of the market rolling over. Again, we had utilities and industrials pushing higher, with energy selling off aggressively on the back of falling crude prices, technology, defensive, and comm services also selling off. And in the last 1 week, we've got a pretty split market with comm services and energy and technology kind of like the underperformers, and everything else is pushing higher. And in the last 1 month, energy is the only sector that is down, and 10 out of the other 11 sectors are pushing higher very, very nicely. Over the last 1 day, we've got lumber prices, copper, gasoline, cocoa, all pushing higher, with oats, ethanol, feeder cattle, live cattle, coffee, and sugar prices definitely selling off as well. And Bitcoin here just a little bit under 44,000, and Ether just over 2,200 at the moment as well. So going over to the market, again, I want to remind everyone, do check out the links down below for Patreon, Discord, Excel spreadsheets. Everything's going to be included, private members only videos, Excel, and then of course fundamental tech analysis courses along with options and psychology. And definitely do check out the Instagram down below if you want to connect with me there as well. Going over to volatility, still a little bit under 13. So it continues to, go sideways, trade sideways. It has been very, very muted, I would say. It's not really pushing higher or not spiking quite aggressively, but it is now inside this red rectangle at the moment. So again, we've talked about this red zone, this territory where it's trading at the moment. And if you do see a little bit of a spike, we all know what's going to happen. The market's going to start to pull back considering how overbought we really are. So this is a really, really good sort of risk reward measure for us because this kind of helps us understand how to optimally and efficiently place trades and deploy cash. If the VIX is high, it's time to buy. It's that simple. And if the VIX is low, it's time to go as in not start actively selling, but just be careful in going long because of how low the volatility is. Crude oil prices, we already covered. Bitcoin, we already covered, continues to charge higher. And for BTC and again, Bitcoin and Ether are two of the main sort of cryptos that are leading this charge higher. For Bitcoin, the next resistance really is going to be 48,000 to 51,000. So that right there inside this red rectangle is going to be the level to watch. And for Ether, again, we're starting to already come up to that resistance. We need to see a breakout above this red rectangle. And that next resistance and target is going to be possibly up to 3,500 moving forward as well. Now, going over to the market, so S&P 500 first, you'll notice that we did see a little bit of a pullback, so down almost 40 basis points. That should not be surprising. The MACD also crossing over below the signal line here for the first time in a very long time. You can see that, a little bit of that bearish sort of signal with the RSI also rolling over and the price intraday selling off. and of course selling down from 45.84 down a little bit over 75 basis points as well. Next support level is going to be 4500, 4513, all the way down to 4375 to 4400 as well. So those right there are going to be a couple levels to watch for S&P 500. NASDAQ here also selling off down about 0.5%. So intraday, you'll notice it was actually a much bigger sell-off of 1.35%. That is not to be taken lightly, folks. Intraday, the NASDAQ is down over 1%. That is quite an aggressive move to the downside. So next support really is going to be under 14,000, so 13,800. This right here is going to be that level to watch for the NASDAQ, and of course all the way down to as low as 12,500 as well. Talking about Apple, and Apple here also starting to show some signs of a pullback, so down about 0.5%, but again, intraday, it was much more than that. It was down a little bit over 1.2, 1.3% intraday. So definitely a lot of weakness here during the trading session, and next support really is going to be all the way down over here, sitting roughly at around $190. That's going to be the first level, all the way down to $180 for Apple as well. Talking about Amazon here also starting to roll over and sell off. So we're seeing some momentum once again to the downside. It's really just been consolidating sideways with a little bit of that negative divergence that's been playing through, and MACD here crossing below the signal line as well. And the next support level is going to be all the way down to as it was 134, 135 for Amazon. So that right there is going to be that level to watch, with the resistance all the way up to $147 per share. And of course, we're seeing the RSI and the MACD rolling over and coming down as well. Talking about Tesla, and Tesla here also just consolidating sideways, slightly up over 27 basis points on the day, but for the most part, really just consolidating with that lower high and lower low. So this right here has been the overall downtrending channel for Tesla. So we know that where we are, it's still pretty weak from a price action standpoint. Lots of resistance and supply sitting roughly at around $275 to $320. And of course, a lot of support sitting in the low 200s for Tesla as well. So this right here is going to be that support resistance all the way in the 300s for Tesla. Talking a little bit about Meta platforms, and Meta here continues to sell off, although still inside this support level, inside this green rectangle that we have again talked about as a very important area of support and demand. We got the RSI rolling over, we got the MACD continues to selling off, and the next support really is going to be all the way down here in the low 300s. So $301 per share is going to be that very important support level to watch. Talking a little bit about Nvidia continues to roll over. Intraday was actually a lot of weakness for Nvidia, down almost 4%, selling off here during the trading session. And the next support, as you guys already know, is going to be sitting roughly here in the low 400s for Nvidia. We got the RSI, MACD coming down, so that's pretty self-explanatory. And we got a huge resistance and a supply sitting roughly at around $495 to as much as $500 per share. Advanced Micro Devices, on the other hand, also getting rejected at its resistance at 122. Next support level is going to be staying put at close to $112 to as much as low 100s for AMD as well. We got the RSI, MACD also showing signs of some pullback. So this is not a surprise, right? We've talked about this. We've gone over this multiple times. If you take a look at the Magnificent 7 or the FANG stocks index here, this was the overall lower high and lower low. And then, of course, we saw a breakout above this. Resistance is going to be at close to 1952. We got overbought. We were also hitting our same level from October of 21 before we actually got started with this sell-off. In fact, November of 21. And, of course, now we have the RSI and the MACD coming down. Prices did get overbought. And now it is simply just rolling over. It's not a big deal. PayPal here, on the other hand, pushed up 2.7%. I'm actually quite surprised with the outperformance. But this right here is the overall higher high and higher low for PayPal, and support level is going to stay put at $56, $57 with a resistance and a target all the way up to $65 per share for PayPal moving forward. Talking about Visa, and Visa here also just consolidating sideways with the RSI and the MACD just starting to roll over. We got the RSI just a little bit under 65. It was obviously very overbought. We're now starting to come down slowly. MACD did cross below the signal line for the first time, and of course the price itself, support level is going to stay put at 250 down to $245 per share for Visa as well. Talking about Netflix, and Netflix here continues to roll over. This is something that we talked about as a potential short trade idea in our previous videos. But the of course price breaking down below 450. Next support really is going to be $394 per share, and this is exactly where the risk reward was optimal. It was the best here. This was the best risk reward on the short side because again, the marginal upside versus the marginal downside. It was just a really good setup on the short side, and the price continues to break down. Intraday, Netflix is down even more, down a little bit over to 3%, and the next support really is going to be down to $395, close to $400 per share for Netflix. Talking about Google here, and Google also pulling back down a little bit over 73 basis points. Next support is going to be up close to $126 per share. So this right here is going to be the level to watch, with a resistance all the way up here sitting roughly at around $139 to $144 per share. Very, very strong resistance right over there, and support level is going to stay put at 126 all the way down to inside this green rectangle at roughly $117 per share for Google. And of course, last but not least, we got Microsoft and Costco and Enphase. Microsoft here also starting to come down. RSI, MACD overbought, starting to roll over. So it's, again, not a surprise. So in my opinion, I think a 3 to 4% or even a 5% pullback is very, very reasonable. I think that's going to be quite okay for the market, because we know that we're not going to keep going up forever. And after the pullback, this could be either before the December seasonality rally or after. My gut tells me that it's most likely going to be after. I think we still have a pretty solid December on our hands, considering the very strong seasonality. But then going into the first week of January and first sort of month of next year, it's possible that we do see a bit of a pullback and a 4 to 5% dip in the market, considering how overbought conditions still really are. Talking about Costco, and Costco here continues to just power through. Like, it's pretty much hitting again a new all-time high here at over $608. Very, very overbought, so I would be very careful here with the RSI and the MACD just trading as where they are. And support level is going to stay put down to 572 to as low as $531 per share. And then finally, we got Enphase Energy, and Enphase here down almost 3%, again getting rejected at this resistance, which at one point was acting as a very good support. So all support now acting as a resistance for Enphase, and the next support really is going to be all the way down to $91, $92 per share over here for Enphase. So hope you all enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Don't forget to join our Discord to get all the alerts. TMF has absolutely been crushing it for us, and it's up another 4% today. I sent out a lot of alerts on a lot of these companies, so make sure that you do check out the links down below. As always, happy investing, and I'll see you all in the next video.